Hey, good morning, everybody. It's time for Around the County here on WBRT Radio. It's a presentation of Joe Hill's Power Sports and Outdoor, and it's heard each Tuesday here on WBRT with Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins, and today, a special guest.
How you doing, Roth?
Judge, I'm good like everybody else.
I don't know if
Looking outside and going, is that snow again? But
yeah, it's snowing today, and I think we're going to get maybe 4, 5, 6 inches, But anyway, I brought Brad Metcalf, our EMA director, with me today. And people have any questions about flooding, rainfall, and how it's going to crest. And Brad has been staying on top of it with all the emergency services. And I think we had 5 rescues that they did Saturday and Sunday, and but overall we've been, I think, pretty fortunate. But we've had people in place, and I just want to thank all the emergency services and fire departments, and of course Brad and the road departments, and all of them for monitoring and did a good job in keeping everybody safe. The governor put out a statement, but he said we had 1 death in Nelson County, but it was not accurate. Not to throw him under the bus, but that was an accident that happened last week, and that did not happen during the flooding. So just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. We did not have any deaths. And
tragically, we had 2 in the same day and within hours.
About 2 hours of each other.
It was over that snow event last week. We can't get rid of the snow, so the groundhog, I guess, was accurate this year. 6 more weeks, so now we're into 3 more weeks or 4 more weeks left, I think. But anyway, Brad's here, and you go ahead, Brad, if you get something you want to talk about.
I'm just glad to be here this morning and echo your sentiment that we, in the grand scheme of things, we did get lucky compared to, especially if you look at what happened in eastern Kentucky again. Seems like they just got hit really hard. We've done fairly well. I know that the floodwaters in New Haven crested yesterday morning, and as of late last night, Main Street was back open again, and the floodwaters crested this morning in Boston, a little higher than what they had expected, about 1 foot higher than what they thought, but still about 3 feet short of major flooding levels in Boston. So probably within the next 8 to 10 hours, we should start to see the water begin to recede in Boston as well. So,
well, I'm not in the business, but if the snow impact, is it going to have anything? I mean,
well,
some snow.
It don't help any, but it definitely doesn't help any, that's for sure. But when it does melt off, well, that's a problem you have with all the rains. You had all this saturation we've had over the last few ice storms and snow, and the ground's already wet, and can't take but so much, like a sponge, and then you get that heavy rain like that. I think, what is it, figure out every 10th is a ½ inch or inch of rain of snow.
It just depends on the moisture content of the snow. They have said this is going to be the opposite of the one that we got last week. It was a heavy, wet, moisture-laden snow. This is going to be very, very dry, and it's going to be easy to blow off. They said it'd be so easy you could just blow it off with a leaf blower, but that's also, if we get 6 inches of that, it's also going to be drifting. So we'll have drifting in the roads. Hopefully the temperature will allow it to melt off slow enough so that it will ease its way into the rivers and we won't see another spike in water levels. So we're hopeful.
Roth, you have the phone number you can put out here?
Yes, for 348-2222. You can call or text that number with questions or comments. If you call in, I believe we've got our call screener. We'll take your call, take your name, and get you on the air.
Yeah, we'd be glad to answer any questions with this or any other unrelated to this. We'd just take phone calls. That's the purpose of this show, to get people involved and try to answer questions and help communicate with the community any way we can. So,
one text already in, it's just a question, like they're perfectly fine, is there's some construction going on 245 across the street from Handy Food Mart. What is that? Is what the call or the text says.
It's a car wash. They're building a car wash there. And that's what I was told. I haven't talked to the owner, actually, but I think it's a car wash, and possibly some more development as you go back Patriot Drive there. I know there's some more apartments being built also, and in the car wash, and I've seen the layout of that a few years ago. There's potentially some more apartments in behind where the car wash is too. So, but that's what's going in there now. Yes, sir. I know these roads. Let's talk about the roads a little bit more. They're doing the construction on 150 when you get into Washington County side, and it was a mess Saturday morning before we actually had the heavy rains, because all the mud and everything was washing off those hills. And I was going that way, and they had some backhoes out in the trying to get the ditches opened up, and that was a big mess right through there even before we had that. I hope they got those drains opened up, and I think it got better. I don't think it stayed over the road, did it?
It did for just a little bit, but I think they've had some equipment in there getting everything moved out. Part of the problem was I think they had got the trees. The guys that had came in to take the trees off the side of the hills had got in faster than the guys that are doing the blasting to get the hills peeled back, and a lot of that just slid off into the road, and it just didn't have anywhere to go. So
yeah, it was a mess, but we had
erosion in its worst form.
Absolutely.
And mudslides is what they call them in the other places.
We've been putting out reports on the Fiscal Court's Facebook page, and then the EMA reports letting everybody know what roads are open and closed, and we try to update that as we get notifications from the state and all the different departments. And some of it was trees and brush had come in across roads and came down on the roads, and now when it's all when all the water backs up and gets off the road, then you're going to have all the mess with more limbs and trees and mud and so on. Today, New Haven, the fire department cleaning the road off?
They are. They started last night and again this morning, trying to wash everything down. There were a few of the lowest lying businesses had some water in them, but I think we were kind of spared the worst of it. So,
Tex just asked if the weather conditions will cause a delay in the countywide cleanup, which is scheduled to start on Monday morning.
We're on schedule as we talk, unless something else happens. We're going full blast Monday, so that's what I was going to bring up today. Encouraging. I know it's a little bit difficult with the weather we've had going early like we do. We moved this up early several years ago, and try to get people. I know it's a little bit more difficult with the weather and getting out in the cold, and put your coveralls on and let's get her done. We got to get it out to the road so when we go by, we don't want to come back. We just don't have the time to come back, because we're going to pick up the brush. I'm going to make sure everybody understands that. They get their brush cut up, tree limbs, get it next to the road, next to the right-of-way. We don't want to get in anybody's yard. We can't get in the yard and tear it up. You know how soft it is now. It would be awful. Try to separate the brush, and then the tires, if you have tires, and then the so-called junk, have 3 different piles, and it makes it so much easier on our crews. We've got everything pretty much scheduled, and I think everything will be okay. With the water and all that situation, it makes it difficult, but yeah, we're still going forward on it, unless there's another disaster that we're not aware of.
You mentioned something that perked my attention on the brush and tree limbs. Does it need to be cut to a particular length or no longer than?
Well, and we don't really have to necessarily say that, but if they can cut it up a little bit smaller, it'd be a little bit helpful for our guys. We'll probably take our. We bought a grinder this past year. We started a tree trimming crew. At the road department when I came in, because we got so many trees. That's before all these storms, you got ash trees dying everywhere. So we've had a lot of trees, a lot of calls over the years that are died on right-of-ways and easements that potentially can fall on the roads, and and it caused a disaster. You know, in some cases, and I've seen it where it could actually kill somebody with the windstorms and so on. So we started a tree, what I call a tree trim crew, a removal crew about, it's probably almost a year and a half ago now, and it's been really effective. We've removed a lot of trees and limbs off the right-of-ways, and so then we bought the mulcher, or the grinder, what's the proper word for that? It's a
chipper.
Chipper, there you go, chipper. That's really helped us a lot. And we'll use that some now, then we'll haul all of it. The old quarry is where we take it to. And like I say, anybody can call the road department if they want to take anything to the old quarry. And the new in our landfill, during this process, they can haul it there too. And what's the road department's number?
348-1880.
1880. 348-1880. If people's got brush they want to haul to the old quarry, that way we can make sure the gates are open. And then they can also haul their own junk during this bulky item to the landfill. You know what, you just think about it. If you got the trucks or if you got the trailers, and a lot of people don't, but if you do and you're going to load it and they have to unload it at the edge of the road, you might as well just drive it all the way to the landfill, you know, so this makes it a little bit simpler and easier. In New Haven, I think I said it on here before, on the card that went out, it said New Haven was excluded, but they're not excluded. That was a misprint. I talked to some people in New Haven yesterday. We was down there talking about the flooding, and New Haven is included. You'd have to look at the little map when we took over the New Haven garbage, so they're included in this process. And actually, they're getting a second round within 6 months, really, because we did the first one. Actually, it was last fall. It hadn't been about 3 or 4 months, so there's no reason people should have a bunch of junk and trash around their places, and I'm encouraging everybody to get on this and stay on it, because our nuisance ordinance, we're going to really be aggressive this year. We've got 2 new gentlemen enforcing that, and there's several places around that's gotten pretty bad, and we're encouraging everybody to get it out to the road and save us a lot of time, help them, and help the neighbors.
And that's one of the things, if you look around at a lot of other counties, that they don't offer is bulky item pickup. A lot of cities, a lot of other counties surrounding us, that's one benefit that our garbage customers have that is puts us a little bit different and a little better than I think a lot of other counties. So especially if you can't make that certain day when we're going to be passing by your house, if they have the opportunity to go out to the landfill, they'll be able to do that at no charge. Usually we do charge for the rest of the year, but for this point in time while we're doing bulky items, they can go out there for free. So
Okay, we do have a caller on the line, and let's see if I can get the buttons pushed without causing feedback on myself. Woo. All right, caller, let me turn that down a little bit. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, Tim, this is Kevin. How you doing?
Yeah, you got this. Let me see, get this thing. I can't hear it very good, Roth, on mine.
Okay, just try to better. Caller.
Go ahead. I couldn't catch your name.
This is Kevin Clements here in Cox's Creek. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good. It's not exactly on topic, but the DOGE is from Trump, the Department of Government Efficiency, kind of the hubbub going on. And just at the fiscal court level, first of all, I want to thank you. I know you've done a lot for fiscal responsibility there in the fiscal court. And I just wanted you to highlight or let us know if there's any auditing or anything that you're doing there to help bring fiscal responsibility to some of the different agencies and different groups in the county that are offering services to us.
Well, the answer is yes, and when I got elected, I think I campaigned on a lot of these issues, kind of what you're talking about, and we have, I talked about this 2 weeks ago, and I went back and looked, and I think it's, we have eliminated, and probably about, I probably got that paper with me, but anyway, it was the time we brought on Washington County Garbage, which it's about a $600,000 cash flow for us. We saved us $861,000 a year when we went to the self-insured on our health insurance, which helps the county and the employees most importantly. We've got money in reserves in that account because you don't know when you're going to have a catastrophe hit. And then when you add that, there's about 5, 6, I think there was 7 different positions that have been eliminated. Then probably 2 out of those 7 that we brought back as contracts and reorganized those 3 different departments, really. It saved us about another $600,000 by eliminating those. I mean, you take employees making some of us through retirement, and some of it was restructuring, and some of it was contracted out, and some of them was probably forced out, just to be quite honest about it. And it saved the county another probably $600,000 there. But you take what somebody's making 60, 70, 80,000, and then but you always got to remember there's take-home vehicles in some cases, and then you've got the retirement insurance. So I feel really comfortable with saying that it was about a $2 million exchange in savings plus cash flow that helped the county. Now, where's all that money at? You look at your budget, and your general fund's always tight. We have right now. We even talked about a little bit on the bourbon barrel tax. Some of that still hadn't come in for whatever reason. I'm researching on it, so we have done that. I think I just want to help the library tax. They've lowered their tax rates twice, 2 years in a row, and I'm anticipating they'll hold it down again. I replaced three individuals that was on the library board, Human Rights Commission. Some of the things I don't agree with what they do, and some of this DEI, and I've replaced 4 of those members. And there's several different committees across the county that I've replaced some individuals on that didn't align with my beliefs. So yes, I have done that, and I will continue to do that. Okay. I don't know if he's still hot on here, or did he hang up? You still on there, Kevin?
I'm still here. I appreciate that. I was aware of some of what you've done, but.
When you go back to the audits, let me interrupt you real quick. I had a big meeting yesterday, or Friday, I think, and I've been about to pull my hair out and all these, the garbage billing, roll-off billing, the dumpster billing, the individual house billing, and you talking about audits. Well, because we all get audited, and several different audits in all the different departments is okay, but the landfill itself, for whatever reason, again, I hate to throw anybody under the bus, but we found out there's hundreds of $1,000s that's unpaid garbage bills that nobody went after. We have now found out there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of unbilled. We found out how many customers are out there that are not even getting billed. And Friday I got into a little bit of detail with that. And then we found out that between those 2 issues and a few more underlying issues in that, there's been different billing mechanisms and different departments that have done the billing. And again, I don't know the checks and balances of what happened, but I know we've got several, not just the ones that are behind on their bills, but we've got several $100,000 that haven't been collected each year that have not even ever been billed. Most people are not going to pay a bill unless you get a bill in the mail, or you know that you owe a bill. And I don't know what that number was Friday, exact number, but it's,
there's several hundred that we found that just had slipped through the cracks for whatever reason that had never been put on the list to get a bill. So it's like you say, it's hard to kind of go back and get those from the past years, but that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that we could have had over a long period. We don't know that. I mean, some of these could have been 8-10 years that they've not been paying.
Or longer.
And that's not their fault necessarily, but then you look at the cost of what a garbage truck costs and the increase in labor and parts and fuel and tires, and that could have bought a lot of new garbage trucks.
We're talking about probably, I don't know for sure the length of time that this has been going on, but we could be up towards $1 million or maybe more that hadn't been collected for years that we could have had used for something. And that's been I guess that's my pet peeve right now. Is I've been I kind of lose sleep at night because I think about this. How did this happen, and why did it happen? And so I'm trying to not think about the past. I'm trying to move on to the future and fix it. And we're going to fix it some way, shape, or form. It's going to be fixed.
Is some of the confusion or the issues being a landlord or the rentor who's responsible, who's getting billed, and in y'all's case, who's not getting billed?
Well, there is. I mean, there is some of that. There's a lot of that, but that's not all of that. And, with our new ordinance, we're going to try to clean that up. And we just want to be fair to everybody. And it's not fair that you got hundreds of thousands, maybe $1 million out there that hadn't been paid to the people that, like us, that pay our bills. And it's, free is not very much in my vocabulary. I guess you probably realize that when you government giving all this free stuff out to everybody. I just don't agree with that. I campaigned on that. I don't agree with that, and we're not doing much of the free handouts under this administration for sure. So it's been a problem, and I think all the staff and everybody in all the departments realize it's a big problem with me, and we're trying to fix it because it's pretty widespread.
Well,
Is Kevin still on here?
What is it?
Kevin, you still on here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I didn't want to preach to you. I just kind of let you know what else you got, Kevin?
No, that's what I got. I appreciate all that you do, and I fully agree. The same government can give you everything, the same one that can take it all away. So we don't need the handouts, and I appreciate the fiscal responsibility and the transparency that you've brought. So that you gave me exactly what I was looking for. I wanted the people to kind of hear some of what you've been doing, and that you're trying to bring some efficiency and fiscal responsibility. So I appreciate it, Tim.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, we'll see you. Bye.
Well, I think one thing that everybody's been trying to do is to maybe look at this as almost like running a government is like running a business. You should look at it as if you're going to spend tax dollars, you should spend those tax dollars the same way you would your own, and do it with the same efficiency and thoughtfulness that you would as it would be for tax dollars. And on top of all the efficiencies and the reallocations and all that, on top of that, this administration and this court has tried to keep the tax burden low on the people. And over the last 2 years, we've been able to reduce that twice. Is that correct?
13.7 was started out, and we're down to 12 on our tax rate. We went below what the state recommended us to do twice, especially the first year. We went down a whole point, which was, we left quite a bit of money on the table. I mean, I got a little bit of pushback on that, and it does affect our budget. We don't have a lot of fluff in our budget, and I've just told you we got the big what do you want to say? The big elephant in the room is the heat and air in the courthouse. And we got to fix it. I've been working with trying to get this thing. I think I got a plan almost finished where we can hopefully move forward and get it done, but it's been a battle, I'm going to tell you. It's just a lot of money. It takes so dang on much money, and we had this roof worked on again at the courthouse last week, and after this hard rain, we've got one or two little small leaks, so we've solved a lot of that on the front end of that building, because we've tried to clean it up upstairs, and we're working on it downstairs, so we're doing it little, but it's we'll get there.
I think I saw a gentleman on a ladder that was 3 times higher than I would ever even consider going up on the ladder up on the front corner.
Yeah. It's we had a company coming in. There was another company that they had used before, and then we used them last year, and I wasn't happy with them, so we switched companies and basically fired them. So they haven't done a good enough job, and it continued leaking. So I think with this guy, like I say, we can tell since last week it's solved a lot of them. I mean, this heavy rain that we got.
We had several places that usually flood, and we didn't have any leaks.
They were running down, the water runs downhill, Ross, you know that, don't you? And it would hit the top of the steps, and it would run down the steps all the way downstairs. It's like a waterfall, really. Yeah,
it's called a water feature, but it's not.
There you go, yeah.
And you're probably better.
We had to put some flowers downstairs. We had our self-water. But anyway, it's we're getting there. It's that has been really a mess, and I think this new company we used, we worked with him, and he's got to come back and do a few things, and because we can't complete it all until we get our heat system worked out. We have to put air handlers on the roof, and so we can't complete it until we get that done. So we've got to find the money to finish that project, and so I'm working on that. So if you don't have any more calls, 348-2222, 348-2222. Encourage anybody who wants to call. Brad, you want to elaborate a little bit more on this flooding? It's how many roads? You got a list of roads that's still closed, or has that been updated? It's probably on our Facebook page.
It is. That's the most up-to-date thing is to look at the Fiscal Court's Facebook page, along with Nelson County Emergency Management Facebook page, and it's always a fluid list because as the waters go up and down, we're adding some on in the far southwestern part of the county, and the southeast is now starting to come off. So like New Hope, and I know there at Log Still we had a road that was closed, and then into New Haven. Most of those roads are opening back up, but please be very careful, because as the crews get out there, we need to get the mud and the debris off the road, so just be very careful until we either get a good rain or we get the crews out there to scrape that off. In the Boston area, we're still going to be experiencing quite a few closed roads. We had one minor mudslide between Highway 62 and the Bluegrass Parkway. It was a small hillslide that just slid into one lane, so that's down to one lane of traffic, so that you just have to be very careful there. But for the most part, we did pretty good. We had some temporary inconveniences, I guess, but for the most part, everyone was able to get around. We checked on everyone that was in some of the private lake areas, like Melody Lake. And Melody Lake, we had the north end that was cut off for maybe about 12 hours just through some flooding, but we had pre-prepared for that in case we had to evacuate anyone. And then also down at Hurricane Hills down in Boston. Both those dams were in good shape. They had lowered their water levels before the storm to kind of compensate for that, so the additional rain was able to be taken in fairly well. Looks like that as we were walking in, we were getting a little snow squall, so I can't see if it's still snowing, but it looked like on the radar it might, snow for an hour or so. This is not the big snow that's coming in. I checked right before we got on, and it looks like it's still going to come in between 7 and 9 o'clock. It's easing toward the 9 o'clock time frame. So overnight, we're going to get the bulk of this new snow coming in. So tomorrow morning, we'll probably be an adventure. So please slow down. I know, Roth, you referenced those 2 accidents that we had last week. It's just a terrible tragedy for these families when some of this can be prevented just by slowing down and just driving within reason. And I've said that before. I think the last snow, you could still see the blacktop, and it made everybody think, well, if I can see the blacktop, then I'm good to go. And that added about 20 more miles per hour to their speed. And you could see that in the amount of slide-offs and wrecks that we had. So just try to, I know everybody's in a hurry. I do it just as much as anybody, but just try to take that little extra amount of time, and let's help everybody get home safely. When you see, especially after this snow gets on, if you see your emergency crews, if you see these snow plows, if there's guys out putting out signs, please slow down.
Garbage trucks.
Garbage
trucks probably the most dangerous
profession in the world.
In the whole nation. I think there's more deaths in the garbage truck atmosphere or departments all over because of it's just dangerous to people trying to get by. And I mean, them guys put their life on the line really every day. Plus, it's probably the toughest job in the county or the state or the world, as far as I'm concerned, what they do. And
probably as many calls we get now is the garbage schedule, as opposed to are we having school. And that's a lot of technology, but with that in mind, we'll let them know tomorrow morning or whenever there's
I don't know about tomorrow. If we get that much snow, we're going to try it as of right now. I'm not saying, put it out. We're going to try to attempt to keep following through, and if we have to pick it up the next day, in some cases, John's crew does a good job out there monitoring that, and I've had a few phone calls, and some not very polite over that back in the ice storm, and I'm not going to risk my employee's life over somebody's garbage. And I had a little bit of a not real good conversation with a couple of individuals over that, but we're doing the best we can, and I think they're doing an excellent job. So, I'm not going to lose my life, and be real clear on the radio here today. If somebody's garbage don't get picked up, I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. I'm not going to let somebody get killed over it and or get hurt and be in a wheelchair the rest of their life. It's not going to happen.
And usually the rule of thumb is that even if we have to suspend garbage pickup for one day, most of the time then they'll just shift their schedule back one day. If we miss 2 or more days, it gets a little difficult to do that.
Yeah, that one ice storm we had to skip 2 days, and a lot of that did not get picked up to the next week, and I apologize for that. But there's only so many garbage trucks and so many people around, and it's not just here; it happens everywhere. So our crew's doing an excellent job. One thing I'm going to talk about the Civic Center,
Okay.
As far as the warming center, and we have put in a new locking system and actually a phone system. Instead of just leaving the doors wide open, we finally got this thing defined a little better. We don't have all the signs up yet. We've been working on this for the last probably month or so. And they can call if they go in there and they see there's going to be a sign on the doors, and we'll have it on our Facebook and all our websites. If electricity goes out, they can call that number, and it'll ding into. We can actually open the locks up.
Okay. Remotely.
This is high tech. That's why they call me High Tech Tim. And so
I've never heard that.
You never heard that?
Well,
anyway, so that's something we're kind of going through right now, letting people know that, because leaving it open, like I told you before, with different people trying to come in and putting somebody's life in danger and families, and we got to make sure we monitor. We got cameras up. We know who's coming and going now, and we can really monitor it. That way we can work with our emergency services and police if there's an issue there. So we've got this pretty much defined, or at least a few more growing pains. Brad, you want to elaborate on that?
Well, what we've essentially done is put in a callback system. So if you go, and I'll go ahead and put the number out there, we're going to ask people if their power goes out and they need a place to stay during the next couple of days here during this snowstorm, call the dispatch number, the non-emergency dispatch number, 502-348-3211. 348-3211, and we will activate the system down there. And essentially what they'll do, you'll go up to the front door, you can push the call button, and it'll call someone. It's like a Ring camera, commercial Ring camera. We'll be able to see who's there, ask them who they are, what they need, and then if they need to get in out of the cold temporarily, we can open the door up remotely. We have cots already pre-positioned down there for the next couple days anyway. It looks like by Friday it's supposed to be back up in the 50s, so we should be good. So we have a couple of days there where it's going to get down really cold. So just look on our Facebook, on all our social media, on the Fiscal Court's Facebook page, and on the Emergency Management Facebook page.
Yeah, and then part of that, even as we move along with the the warming center, is not just a warming center, but a emergency center. When we have storms, when the weather does get warm, you could have people lose power, and may not be cold, but they have a place to go, or a tree falls in their house, or anything that happens, that way they know this is going to be operational, and moving forward, this will be a whole lot better, efficient system, I think. So.
Well, and one of the things with the Civic Center is it's a little bit of a juggling contest, because they have that rented out to people. And for instance, on Friday there is a job fair that was rescheduled from 2 weeks ago, and so they've had this out on all of their advertisements and everything else, and people know to come in. So we have to balance both having a warming center and having it rented out for public events. So it's a kind of a constant battle. It's not the most ideal place to have one. We're looking for a better option, but for right now, we're trying to make both work.
And I believe you're the technology man At least you were. I was referred to you by him, by Tim.
Oh, come on, man.
We got a text, and I'm not sure you can take care of this, Judge, but need some street lights down on West Broadway. There's like 4 of them out, it says, but I think that's in the city, isn't it?
That's fine. They can. I mean, I get calls all the time from people. I was teasing the mayor one day, and he said, I don't know, there was a street light or something. I said, Mayor, he said, what they call you for? And I said, well, it says county judge, and the city's in the county. Jokingly, we just joking about it. And I do get calls from city people in all cities, actually, and try to send them to the appropriate, when they get like this call, we'll send it in and try to get the city, the right people to. So it's West Broadway.
Yep.
Did it say
right past City Hall?
Say specifically an address or anything?
It didn't say. It said there was about 4 of them out, and that, of course, runs all the way down to back into Stephen Foster by the corrections center.
There's 4 of them out.
It's a long way.
That sounds like an electrical problem versus a light problem. One of my things, since this was brought up, it's and I get calls from time to time, and in a lot of cases, I just came up off the ramp on 245, off of 65 one night last week. And every one of those lights, there's about 4 or 5 lights down through there that were out. It was really dark. And of course, I noticed that stuff because I get these calls all the time. So I try to write it in. I noticed it. I told the state about it the other day. It goes in District 4, which is not a part of District 2 in the state. But I let them know about it. I'll give you one right now. I go in, when you pull into Colton's right in there, there's a street light up, and I noticed it 6 months ago, and I said, well, I guess they'll fix that. And 6 months later, it's still, so I don't know, not to blame anybody, I don't know if it's a state or city light, but it is really, really dark. And I wrote that down and sent that in. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have somebody ride every single road in the next, week or two at night. Have to pay a little bit overtime and just to monitor, because you don't know unless you see them out. So I encourage anybody to call 348-1800 and let my staff know, 348-1800, if they see any street lights out anywhere, and we'll get them to the right people and make sure they know, because we don't know until you see it. I mean, it's kind of I don't know any other way around this, the system. You don't know if it's out till it's out. So we're doing, I think we got 100 and, how many did we appropriate last year? 140, 150, 60 streetlights we're putting up all over the county. You probably heard about that when I negotiated that deal with the fiscal court through some ARPA funds and money we saved on our phone systems. When we put our new phone system in, we saved, that's another thing, we saved the county. Talking about earlier with, who was that called? Kevin. I think it was $75,000 a year we're going to save in our phones. And we went to a private carrier and got away from AT&T. We worked on that thing for about a year, and then we finally approved it through the court and did a lot of studying. M.T. Harnett and John Snow.
Jeff Lear,
and then Justin at the jailer, and then Brad worked on that, put a lot of effort and time into that. And that's a lot of money, $75,000 per year. You add that up 10 years, that's $750,000. So we're saving on phones. We found lines that were going from, we didn't know what we were paying on. And so we got all that defined and fixed, and I actually can use the phone, which you called me high-tech a while ago. I can use the phone that we got a whole lot easier than you could the old phone. But with that being said, we took that money that we saved, about, I think, 50% of it or so, we appropriated that to put these, once we get these street lights up, to help pay for the monthly billing. So it was not an increase to the taxpayers, and that's an ongoing project. And I'm telling you, you're out driving, and as you get a little bit older, and then your kids start driving, when your children start driving, you always worry about, that's just a human nature thing, and when they can't see the entrances and raining and all that, those street lights are very, very important.
Can people, are all the sites set, or can people send a recommendation in?
They can call 1,800 and ask, but I think we've identified every road, and our goal is to get every city, county, or state road that connects to another road, the main intersection. Now, we don't have the resources to go back every subdivision and all the crossroads and all that. There are some of those done through private HOAs, but we will not go back and do every side street back in subdivision and so on. Our main goal is that coming off the main roads, like 245, for example, even the state roads, not just the county roads. We're doing those too. So it's been a really good program, and we started this thing, I think 30 years ago when I was a magistrate and dean in the fiscal court. We did 5 per year, and they've done so many over the years, but we had this extra money that we found saved through the phone system, so we're going to try to go in and just get them all done, and it's really a good safety thing, and it's been a good program, and people really like it. But again, call that number, 348-1800, if there's a street light out, and let us know, because, but we are going to do a little kind of a audit, go around and check them all just to be sure.
And to add on to what he said, we've tried to make a lot of effort toward working hand in hand with our other partners, with the state and the federal delegations. They work very well with us, and we work almost daily with all of our cities, the city of Bardstown and all of the smaller cities. We talk to them almost daily, of things they need. If there's something we can help with or we need help with, they kind of, join in with us. We've really tried to make sure that everybody works together for the whole, the benefit of the whole county. And I'll use case in point. In the last, I guess it's probably 72 hours now, we've had, just in Nelson County, we've had 6 water rescues since the water has went up. Now, the only one that has a swift water rescue team in the county is Bardstown Fire Department. And I have to just give a big shout out to those guys, because they've come out multiple times. Sometimes as soon as they get back in, they get called right back out, and coming out into the far reaches of the county to help get people. And we've had 6 now where we've rescued 7 people that were stuck in stranded water, sometimes up to their waists inside the car. So a big shout out to the city fire department and all of the fire departments. The dispatchers, these kind of events just kind of overtake dispatch. We try to keep everything staffed as well as we can, but it's a lot of pressure for those guys to get the appropriate resources sent out on these runs, and for the first responders themselves. It's a very stressful time. It's very hard. Especially like a week like we had last week, where we had 2 fatalities within an hour and a half of each other. That's just unheard of here. So just keep those guys in your thoughts and prayers, and always just try to slow down if you see any flashing lights on the road. So,
because when they get a call, especially these swift water or the water rescues, it's life and death situation.
Absolutely.
They don't know how close it is to one or the other, but they know it's in that category.
And they're putting their lives at risk too, because they're the guys jumping right into that water with a rope and a suit attached. But still, you never know what you're getting into. So.
Yeah, it's not funny, but it was kind of funny. Yesterday we was in New Haven and watching the water, and the one place there was cleaning up some backwater. Got up real close to their business, and they was picking up some garbage and trash, and I seen him pick up a big old snake. And he had it up on the stick and holding it up, and I didn't think snakes were out in February. So what this water does, I guess it kind of runs some of these animals out of their shelters. And so that was kind of, I didn't say funny, but it was kind of funny, I guess you'd say. It's
not something you think you'd see in February.
No, but Roth, I want to say, going back to what he said, I just give a shout out to, and these people have reached out to me, and if we need any support in any way, shape, or form, the Senator Jimmy Higdon's office, State Senator Jimmy Higdon, State Senator, State Representative Candy Mastrone's office, U.S. Representative Brett Guthrie's office, U.S. Representative Thomas Massey's office, U.S. Senator Rand Paul's office, and of course the governor's office. They have all reached out and I want to thank them for we haven't needed anything directly from the state, what's going to come up. I mean, but they have all, and I want to thank them for that, for the support. I know they've got a lot of other severe problems in some other places where they've had a lot of displaced homeowners and things in other places in the state. So I do want to thank them for reaching out, and we have a very good relationship with all these different departments and offices, and just like I say, when anything we need, they're always there. We've built a really good relationship with all of them, and I really appreciate them.
Our phone number is we're closing in on about 8 minutes away, 348-2222 if you want to text or call in, 348-2222. If you text, you need to dial the 502 area code in advance of it.
One thing that I think that the judge hit on earlier is as we've went through this and tried to restructure county government and all the positions and offices, the one thing that he and this court have hit on multiple times is that we need to make this a customer-friendly environment. We should always look at this as how can we help our customers, which are the taxpayers, and what can we do to help them. Sometimes they don't understand what it is exactly that they need to do, and our first response should not be no. It should be, well, how can we help you get to this point? And sometimes we can't fix everything, but we do the best that we can, and sometimes you just have to get creative and think outside the box, but we should always try to help direct them in the best way that we can to get get solutions for their problems, because that they don't always know how to get there, and so we should try to help and guide them. And that's just been, I guess, kind of our main principle is just try to be customer friendly and be pleasant. That's a kind of reaction that constituents want when they come to their government for help.
I think the proper word that I use most of the time when I did campaign for this office was everybody be user friendly, and we don't need any bad attitudes. So I think it's moving to that direction pretty good. The one thing I want to hit on, Roth, I had those 2 calls that first week, and I have reached back out to Jamie Mattingly in New Haven over that flooding, which is not real good with all this rain. I talked to him yesterday about that, and then Miss Durbin, remember talking about the hospice in Nelson County. So Brad has researched, and I actually talked with her yesterday again, and we're going to meet with them there's some conflicting answers on that. And we're getting to the bottom of that, and hopefully it'll make it better for anybody in the future. I just want to hit on that a little bit because that question did come up, and I did talk to them. So,
and sometimes it's a learning process, just like that. When that issue came up with hospice care, it was something neither one of us had ever had a lot of experience in. So sometimes we have to learn ourselves and just reach out to the proper resources and the proper people to give us some feedback and inform us, and we try to get back to people. And sometimes if it takes a little while, don't be frustrated. We're trying to get you the best information that we can. Sometimes it's not instant. So
if it's a complaint, they can call you instead of me. They might get those numbers mixed up, Roth. But anybody can call here, 348-2222, and that text, like you said, that text comes through. Mm-hmm. If we don't get to respond to them today, they can text anytime, and you'll get those for the next show.
And your number is 348-1800. I'll make sure everybody knows.
That's correct. That's good. That's what we want to know. We want to be as open and transparent as we can, and we know we can't solve everybody's problems, but we want to try to help achieve that goal, is try to move forward. A lot of things going on, behind the scenes. I'm working on, there's just so many things, but it's good. That's why I like it. We stay busy.
I'm going to grab this folder. There's an event coming up in a week or so to meet with all those officials that you just mentioned in Connect.
Oh, or Community Connect.
Community Connect, yeah.
When is the Community Connect? It's in...
or is it in March? I'm sorry.
I don't know for sure.
Hang on, I've got it right here.
I've got it here on my calendar. I've just got, what is it?
Yeah, February 25, 6 o'clock at Fairfield Fire Station. So people that want to do question or do face-to-face, February 25. That's actually a week from today. We'll remind them again next week on your show.
Yeah, that's it. I got the wrong times on mine, and let me see here. Oh, here we go, yeah.
But these are good, these Community Connects are good.
That's at 6 o'clock at the Fairfield. That's the new fire department.
Yeah.
Yes, that's John Snow's district. We've actually had good responses and pretty good showings in most of these meetings. I know we've had 2 in each district, and probably going on the 3rd in some districts, and we try to move them to different locations, and it's been pretty good as far as the turnout, I think. Now, there's been a couple that we've had different times that didn't fix because there was a U of L ball game on or something like that, and but overall it's been good, and we encourage everybody to come, and and I like it. Sometimes you don't want to hear what they have to say occasionally, but we try to work through those. But it's been really, really positive.
But those are good. That's bringing government to your hometown, and you get, probably unprecedented one-on-one interaction with your local elected officials and the representatives of the federal delegations as well. And usually Senator Jimmy Higdon and Representative Kenny Massaroni are there if they can be. I think they've made every one of them, as far as I know. And you can ask your questions. I don't think there's a whole lot of times you get that kind of opportunity to get right in front of somebody and ask them a very direct question. It's very nice to look into somebody's eyes, ask a question, and get a response. So it doesn't get any more
personal.
That's right.
And I want to thank Candy, Representative Mastroni, for actually spearheading these when she first started, actually, and she was kind of the original organizer of it, and still she works with everybody and tries to pick a time, and she's the one that really started this, which I'm thankful for her for that. And
well, especially right now while they're in session, if you have any questions about legislation that's before the General Assembly, they usually do an update, and if there's something specific to you that you want to ask them to be for or look out for or vote against, that's your time right there.
Yeah, that's bringing government back to the people, which is very important. And in my mind, I was thinking that's one of the things that you see a lot during the campaign of a person, but sometimes when they get in office, they forget. But this is keeping the people back, bringing them back in to hear them and hear from them and hear of them.
Yeah, we haven't forgot, that's for sure. And we've got an open line of communication, and extremely busy, and I tell you, it's a lot going on, and what people don't see behind the scenes and all the meetings and everything. So
Brad, before we go, again, remind everybody about where they can get this information online if they're...
Yes, they can go to Fiscal Court's Facebook page or the Nelson County Emergency Management Facebook page. If they need answers to any questions, they can call the non-emergency dispatch number, 502-348-3211, and they'll try to direct it to the appropriate agency or department.
And 348-1800. They can call anytime, and we'll try to respond to there too. Again, bulky item starts Monday, and we look at their map, make sure we get everybody gets really this weekend. It's supposed to warm up some. It might be wet, but let's get all your stuff out.
That's our show for today, Around the County, with Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins and his special guest today, Brad Metcalf, his assistant. So everybody be safe, be warm, and remember those numbers. It's 12 o'clock.
Hometown Radio, WBRT Bardstown, 1320 AM, 97.1 FM, and on 94.9 FM in Lebanon. Playing all the classics from country's legends.